الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين ثم الصلاة والسلام على كل أنبياء والمرسلين لا سيما أبا القاسم المصطفى محمد
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد
وآله وصحبه الأخيار المنتجبين وأما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. قال الله تعالى في كتاب المبين أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم إنا أنزلناه في ليلة القدر وما أدراك ما ليلة القدر ليلة القدر خير من 1000 شهر صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات
اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
I would like to continue with the previous session and the topic that we talked about Prophet Isa al-Masih alayhi salam, dead or alive. I would like to conclude that discussion, so I would only mention the summary and the proofs of the different opinions. And we said that according to the majority view, the 99%, all right, not the top 1%, the 99%. The view is that Isa al-Masih alayhi salam is still dead or alive. Which one? Alive, right? He's still alive. And we ask, all right, then what does rafa'ahu mean? That he lifted him up? They say that he lifted him up physically and spiritually. All right. Then we ask, then where did he go? Isa al-Masih alayhi salam, this great human being who walked on the face of this earth. Ruhullah wa kalamatullah, right? That's what the Qur'an is mentioning when it comes to Isa al-Masih alayhi salam, the Spirit of God. So you see, they say that no, he might be living in a parallel universe, He might live in another planet, or and that planet is like an Earth-like planet. It looks like Earth, but it might be somewhere else in the Milky Way galaxy or in another galaxy. Alright? That's the opinion that exists. Alright. But then we had the minority view. The minority view was that Isa al-Masih alayhi salam died. Now I'm just gonna go through the proofs because I did not have the time in the previous session. And then after that I will go to my second khutbah. So they say that the 24 times the Noble Qur'an is mentioning the word tawaffa, it means what? You guys are Arab speakers, Urdu speakers, Persian speakers. What does tawaffa, faut mean? Wafa. What does it mean? It means death. And the Noble Qur'an 24 times in the Qur'an has used that word as what? Death. Then how come, they ask, how come that when it comes to Nabi Isa alayhi salam, you guys are saying that no, he exalted him, he lifted him up, and so on and so forth. Why don't you use the same meaning in the translations here, or in the tafsir here? That is a question. So 24 times it has been mentioned. And especially when it comes to the holy prophet, Muhammadul Mustafa himself. 3 times. How many times? 3 times has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the word tawaffa when it comes to the noble prophet himself. He says, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم وإما نرينك بعد الذي نعيدهم أو نتوفينك فإلينا مرجعهم ثم الله شهيد على ما يفعلون. And if we show you in your lifetime, Allah is speaking to the Prophet, and if we show you in your lifetime the fulfillment of some of the things which we have threatened them, you will know it. Or if we cause you to die. If we cause you to die, die is here what? نَتَوَفَّيَنَّكَ. If we cause you to die before that, then to us is the return, and you will see the fulfillment in the next word, and so on. The next verse says, وَإِمَّا نُرِيَنَّكَ بَعْدَ الَّذِي نَعِدُهُمْ أَوْ نَتَوَفَّيَنَّكَ فَإِنَّمَا عَلَيْكَ الْبَلَاغُ وَعَلَيْنَا الْحِسَابُ. And whether we make you see the fulfillment of some of the things with which we threaten them, Allah is speaking about the kuffar and the munafiqeen, or whether we make you die, نَتَوَفَّيَنَّكَ, it makes little difference, for on you lies only the delivery of the message. That was verse number 2, regarding the Prophet himself, where the word tawaffa has been used as death. And the third verse says, فَاصْبِرْ إِنَّ وَعْدَ اللَّهِ حَقٌّ فَإِمَّا نُرِيَنَّكَ بَعْدَ الَّذِي نَعِدُهُمْ أَوْ نَتَوَفَّيَنَّكَ فَإِلَيْنَا يُرْجَعُونَ. Which means basically the same, and whether we cause you to die before the fulfillment of our promise, to us in any case will they be brought back. So you see, it is really unjust that we use the word die when it comes to the Holy Prophet, but we don't use the same interpretation or the same meaning when it comes to Nabi Isa alayhi salam. Why is that? A question. We say he raised or he elevated him. Why don't you use the same word or the translations that you use in other parts of the Qur'an? Number 2, verses which are mentioned specifically in regards to Prophet Isa alayhi salam, where death is mentioned. وَالسَّلَامٌ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ وُلِدْتُ وَيَوْمَ أَمُوتُ. Alright? وَيَوْمَ أُبْعَثُ حَيًّا. So, and peace is upon me the day I was born, the day I shall die, and the day I shall be raised alive again. Why is Prophet Isa talking about death here? Okay? So, another verse which says, and I will mention the Arabic one. وَكُنْتُ عَلَيْهِمْ شَهِيدًا مَا دُمْتُ فِيهِمْ فَلَمَّا توفيتني كُنْتَ أَنْتَ الرَّقِيبَ عَلَيْهِمْ فَلَمَّا توفيتني كُنْتُ أَنْتَ الرَّقِيبَ عَلَيْهِمْ وَأَنْتَ عَلَى كُلِّ شَيْءٍ شَهِيدٌ. So Allah is asking the Prophet, why did you command them to worship you, Ya Isa? And Isa alayhi salam responds that I was a witness over them during my time among them, and when you made me die, and when you, could you please send the salawat? Noise pollution. Please send the second one. So Isa alayhi salam is saying, and when you made me die, look, tawaffaytani, you alone have been the watcher over them. You are witness to all things. I did not command them to worship me. So that is proof number 2 for those who say that Prophet Isa alayhi salam has died. Number 3, in the Mi'raj of the Prophet, the heavenly ascension, which happened with his spirit. Okay, if you go according to that opinion, not the physical body, but his spirit. Alright, he went to Barzakh. Who did he see in Barzakh? One of the prophets, Isa alayhi salam. Now, isn't it so that when we die, our spirit ascends to Barzakh? So how come that he could see Isa alayhi salam in Barzakh? If it was not a spiritual wayfaring, the Prophet did a spiritual wayfaring. That's why his physical body was here, but his spirit went to Barzakh. Alright? So he saw Isa alayhi salam there. Where the spirits, Alam al-Barzakh, the realm of Barzakh is where the spirits of the dead one ascends to. So how could he be there and talk with this great individual, Isa alayhi salam? So you see, it does not hold. And this again is, according to this opinion, another proof that Isa alayhi salam is dead. In the book of Uyun al-Akhbar al-Rida, Uyun Akhbar al-Rida alayhi salam, where the narrations of Imam Ali al-Rida, the offspring, the progeny of the Prophet has been gathered. Okay, the Imam was asked, Yabna Rasulillah, O the son of the Prophet of Allah, what is your opinion about Isa alayhi salam? How did he ascend? And the and Imam Ali al-Rida is responds by saying, Allah took Isa alayhi salam while being alive towards the heavens. And between heaven and earth, Allah took his spirit. He does not mention death or die or death here. It's very clever. This is the red line. The majority view is something else. And then the Imam continues and says, and Allah took his spirit. Allah took his spiritless body, ruh duna jism, his spiritless body, and body-less spirit, jism duna ruh. What does that mean? That means death, right? And he took him to heaven, barzakh, meaning barzakh, the realm of barzakh, where Allah returned his spirit to his body, his barzakhi body, his barzakhi body. All right, that was number 3 or 4. So I introduced all the proofs here in a nutshell, okay? And if we believe in Raj'a, the return of Isa al-Masih alayhi salam, because many of you guys asked me this question, but what about the return? Doesn't all the denominations of Islam say that Isa alayhi salam will come back and with Imam al-Mahdi? Yes or no? Then how come that you guys are saying that he's dead? It does not contradict. It does not contradict. There is no dead. There is no mutadad. There is nothing contradictory here. If we believe that he is death and his death is certain, this issue would not contradict with him coming back. Why? Because of the concept of Raj'a. And I mentioned the return. Raj'a means the return. Nabi Uzair alayhi salam in the Noble Qur'an, was he dead or no? He came back, right? The 4 birds of Nabi Ibrahim, were they dead or no? They came back. The spirit got back, attached back to the physical body. Who else? What did I say? Surah Al-Baqarah, the cow. Didn't the person who was murdered, he was dead, right? Nabi Musa alayhi salam comes forth and says, look, take a piece of the flesh of this cow, the Baqarah, right? And strike it on the dead body. The dead body came alive. He came alive for a couple of seconds. He pointed towards the murderer. And he went back to Barzakh again. His spirit came back, attached to that physical body, and he came back to life. You see, Raj'a, we have it in the Noble Qur'an. You don't need to go to the narrations. You have it in the Noble Qur'an. And I don't recall, but I think there is one more example. Nabi Isa alayhi salam. Now it came back. We're talking about Isa alayhi salam. What did the Spirit of God do? Didn't he revive a dead person? Raj'a, the return. So the concept of return is from the Noble Qur'an. Salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Because of limitation of time, I would have liked to speak about Laylatul Qadr, but I'm going to limit myself to the martyrdom of Imam Ali alayhi salam. And if we could send a salawat again. Now look at what the great mystic scholar, if he would live today, he would be a grand ayatollah. He would be a grand mufti, okay? Shaykhul Islam, by the name of Jalaluddin Muhammad al-Balkhi, aka Rumi, okay? Rahmatullah alayhi. Look at what he says when it comes to Imam Ali alayhi salam. He says, learn sincerity of action from Ali. If you want to learn ikhlas, learn ikhlas from Ali. Learn sincerity of action from Ali. know that the lion of God, he was Asadullah, right? Learn that the lion of God was completely purified from deceit. In a battle against the unbelievers, Amr, he got the upper hand. What happened when he got the upper hand? Against a certain champion of the Arabs, he quickly raised his sword and was hurrying to kill him. But the man spat in Ali's face. Yes or no? He spat in Ali's face, who was the pride of every prophet and every saint. Right? This is Rumi talking. He said that he spat in the face of Ali, who was the pride, the fakhr of every Nabi and Wali. He spat upon a face before which the beautiful face of the full moon bows low at the place of prostration. At that moment, Ali threw aside his sword and slowed down in his fight against him. He went back. He said, no, come back again, come up again. You know that? You have, it's astonishing. You know how it is when you guys get angry? How do you get if you don't have anger management? Even if you have anger management, how does it get? You got cortisol, you got noradrenaline, you got adrenaline pumping out into your veins, into your blood, all the way, and your heart is beating faster now. Sometimes you can't even think clearly. You want to strike in the heat of the battlefield. Imam Ali says, no, I cannot do that. Come up again. Fight me over again. Because he spat at the face of Ali, right? So that anger, that personal anger came. Not the anger qurbatan ilallah. The anger for the sake of Allah was not there. The anger for a personal nafs was there. So the brave warrior became amazed by this action and by his showing such forgiveness and mercy without it being the place for it. He said, you raised your sharp sword against me. For what reason did you throw it aside and quit fighting me? What did you see that was better than fighting me, the champion of the Arabs, so that you became unenthusiastic in hunting me? What did you see so that a rage of yours like this settled down? A volcano, Asadullah wa Asadu Rasulillah. You don't mess around with this person. When he came into the battlefield, he's famous for his battlefields, right? He never turned back. So you see, Imam Ali says, what? What did you see? Amr is saying, what did you see that the rage of yours like this settled down? And so that a lightning like that appeared and then jumped back. What did you see so that a splendor appeared in my heart and soul from the reflection of that sight? What did you see which was higher than the universe and was better than life so that you gave me life? In being brave, you are the lion of the Lord. And in manly generosity, who knows who you are? When it comes to being Kareem, Jawad, who knows who you are? Ali said, I strike with the sword qurbatan ilallah, for the sake of Allah. Only faqat. I am the servant of God. Ana Abdullah wa laysa Abdul Shahwa. I'm not the servant of lust. This carnal soul, this nafsul amara will not take over me. I am the lion of God, not the lion of shahwa, craving and lust. And my actions are evidence of my religion. Anger is a king over kings. Ghadab is Malakul Muluk, but it is my slave. Can I hear a subhanallah? He says that Ghadab is the king of kings. Okay? But it is my slave. I control it. Anger management for those of you who are still working on it. Okay? And if you're not working on it, start working on it. So, anger is my slave. I have also tied anger underneath the bridle. So this is what Maulana Jalaluddin Rumi says about Imam Ali and what we know about Imam Ali in history. But what do you know about the one who killed Imam Ali? Usually we always talk about the maqtal. We never talk about what happened with the murderer of Imam Ali by the name of Ibn Murjam. I don't want to say the first name because it is a beautiful name, Abdul Rahman. But Ibn Murjam, he was killed and he was thrown in the trash section outside Kufa, where the people of Kufa would throw their trash. His body was not buried according to the Muslim rituals. He was thrown into the trash, where the Muslims would burn their trash there. And when Ibn Battuta, who knows Ibn Battuta here? When Ibn Battuta in the 14th century came to Kufa, he said, I went to that place and they were still burning that place down. See that? That's how it is. When you get la'an, this is how you get. But what happened with the lady called Quttam, right? This lady who promised Ibn Murjam that if you do this act, I will marry you. What happened with Quttam? She was killed instantly. The people gathered outside her house, they took her out and killed her. Did you guys know this? So she was dead, and all of these tyrants and despots, they get a small piece of that punishment in this dunya. Okay, we had a certain dictator, right? Who made a couple of wars with neighboring countries, killed a lot of Muslims in his own country, the Kurds in the north, the Arabs in the south, right? Invaded different countries. He was seen in a small rat hole, picked up, and what happened? He got a small piece of that punishment, not justice. Justice did not prevail. Justice would prevail in Barzakh. And what happened with another dictator, right? With the golden gun, lifeguards or security guards who were all ladies, okay, living in a palace, always going in a tent in New York. What happened with him? Also killed in a most humiliated way. Thank you for that. In a most humiliated way. What happened? You get a small piece of that sunnatullah. Alright? So you see, these things happen to these people. Now, Imam alayhi salam was struck by a poisonous sword by Ibn Murjam in the mihrab. His blood was shed in the mihrab. And you know the famous statement that none before him and after him have ever said in Islamic history, Fuztu bi Rabbil Kaaba. I became victorious by the Lord of the Kaaba. And then he turns around. Now there is a turmoil in the mosque. People have run after Ibn Murjam. What happened with the prayers? Have you ever wondered? Imam Ali turns around and tells Imam Hassan, his older son, Ya Hassan, finish your prayer, right? So they bring Ibn Murjam. Now he has been running. He's breathing very hard, tied up very hard, and they bring a glass of milk to Imam Ali alayhi salam. You know what Imam Ali says? He says, tie him up. They tie him up and he's breathing very hard. He says, give that glass of milk to Ibn Murjam. Have you heard this? Yes or no? He said, give that glass of milk to Ibn Murjam first. Now Ibn Murjam starts to cry. He starts to cry. And then Imam Ali turns around and says, was I that bad? Was I such a bad human being that you did that act? Now, Ibn Murjam got what he wanted, but Imam Ali, he comes with a wasiyah. He says, you're only allowed to strike once. I've been struck once, you're only allowed to strike once. Do not mutilate. mutilate that person. You're not allowed to put him into irba, into pieces. Why? Because the Muslims were furious. They wanted to put Ibn Muljam into pieces. He said, you're not allowed. One strike only if I die. And if I do not die, I will deal with him myself, which inclines towards forgiveness. Subhanallah. And he says that if I survive, like I survived the battle of Uhud. You know what happened in Uhud with Imam Ali? When the companions of the Prophet left the Prophet, there were a couple of companions left around the Prophet. Imam Ali was one of them. He got so much, not the battle of Badr, the battle of Uhud. He got so much wounds that they came with the report to the Prophet of Allah. They said, look, Ali's situation is crucial. Ali's situation is crucial. He's in a life danger situation here. He has lost a lot of blood. He said, if I survive like I survived the battle of Uhud, I will deal with him personally. And you see, this blood that was spilled in the mihrab never ended there. It never ended there. This blood is the blood of haqq. How can it end? Hassan came afterwards. Hussein came afterwards. Zayd ibn Ali, Zainul Abidin, came afterwards. Yahya ibn Zayd came afterwards. These were all the blood of Ali. Right? The blood of haqq is boiling. It can never be silent. It went on and on and on. To whom? All the Imams were martyred, right? From the Ahlul Bayt. Who else? It went to Shaheed Bahishti, Shaheed Mutahari, Shaheed Muhammad Baqir al-Sadra, right? Shaheed Qasim Sulaymani. It continues. This blood of haqq will never end. It is the blood of Ali which is boiling. Khuna Ali's kinni jushad. Right? So the blood of truth cannot be silent and calm. It has to continue. It has to continue and continue and continue and will continue. All those uprisings against tyrants will always continue as long as history exists. Assalamu alayka ya Ali. Assalamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'mineen. Assalamu alayka ya Waliyullah. السلام عليك يا حجة الله. السلام عليك يا يعسوب الدين. السلام عليك يا ميزان الأعمال. ولعنة الله على قوم الظالمين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.